Good morning, all of you. I'm just on the way to the gym, and for some reason, I've always wanted to make a video in a car. Now that I have a car, I can make it. You see, there's a couple benefits to doing a video in a car. Uh, First of all, the soundproofing is great. Second of all, it's just a different location, something different. And third of all, I don't know. It seems cool. I don't know. I've always wanted to make one in here, and recently I wanted to record a podcast episode. That didn't go too well. So today I'm going to take a couple minutes just to talk about something that I was going to talk about in the podcast, but I'm going to do it with even less preparation than before. So I'm going to start off with a quote that I found recently, and it is, "Remove the judgment, and you will have removed the thought. I am hurt. Remove the thought, I am hurt, and the hurt itself is removed." And now, I've been reading Marcus Aurelius recently. I've been getting into philosophy a little bit, just because reading's become very fun. When I was a kid, no, reading sucked. I did not enjoy it at all. But now that I'm a little bit older, I very much enjoy reading. I very much enjoy finding these different books to read. At the moment, I've mainly been on like these self-improvement books, as everyone does in their life journey. But philosophy has been wonderful. What was it that I was reading before? The Moral Letters to Lucilius, I think it was, by Seneca. And then I picked up the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius book. And they've been really helpful in a lot of ways. And the quote that I read there basically tells us that we can only be hurt if we think we're hurt. If we think that something has hurt us, then it will be hurting us. If we remove the thought that something has hurt us, then we're no longer hurt. It's simple, but it's hard to do, right? It's hard to not think about something that's hurting us. And to sort of do a little segue from hurt, I think a lot of artists were hurt by AI and the appearance of AI. I know I was personally, which it's a scary, scary thing. But now that the hype has kind of died down a little bit, I wanted to take my chance to talk about it because I think it's a useful tool and I think we can all benefit from it. But I also think it sucks for artists and I think it's scary for artists. But I want to talk about how we can sort of get by that at some point. First of all, I want to talk about my use of AI. Now, I was very strongly against AI from the beginning in terms of the art because it was stealing the artwork from other artists to create something new. And even though every artist themselves does that, because it's very popular for artists to steal, it's not stealing, it's how we learn. It's very important that they take from other artists, right? But this was flat out taking almost bits of each painting and putting it together to a point where you could see the signatures of different artists mumbled up in the corner. Now, that's not great. But anyways, to sort of talk about the use of AI, I think AI for me has been useful in terms of my actual job, my 8 to 4 job that I do. I work as a graphic designer, so we are all about speed in business, and all business is about speed, which is where AI becomes a little bit tricky and scary because it is very obvious that these big corporations will use AI as a way to create more work faster. So it's 100% sure that it will be used in that industry, and it's not something that's going to go away. But we use it for speed, but the way I use AI is not as bad as I would like to think. It's more or less using AI to get a picture that's already been made and either extend it or remove something from it. That's all I've really used AI for. I think, and the only AI I have used is the Photoshop one, the generative AI, as well as ChatGPT for some other things. If some of you may know, I'm living in Poland, and I've lived my majority of my life, if not almost all of it, in the UK, and I know English better than I know Polish. Although I am bilingual and I can speak perfect Polish, uh, it is a bit tougher for me to spell and say things grammatically correctly and all that sort of stuff in Polish. So therefore, I use things like ChatGPT to check my work and to make sure that the email that I'm sending out is written correctly with proper punctuation and just in general that is well written. So I use these tools to just help me out a little bit, and I think that if we all embrace these tools and learn them that way, it'll be good for us. It'll be good. Um, we the one thing we can't do as artists is ignore it. I think that would be a terrible, terrible thing to do. So if we ignore this massive tool that might soon take over some of our jobs, it's just like when machines came into factories and everything became less handmade and more machine made. This is pretty much the same thing, if not identical. So ignoring it is the worst thing we can do. Learning how to use it and utilize it in our own work is the best thing we can do. I think it's absolutely crucial that we learn to use AI as a tool for gathering the perfect reference for our work, or as a tool to maybe remove certain parts from photography, or just to enhance what is already ours, not to use it to create the final product or to generate the final product in the beginning. I think that's a wrong use for AI. However, I am getting a little bit mumbled up here, so please excuse me. I hope I'm getting what I'm trying to get across into the right words, but to summarize it all, kind of, I think as an artist, you shouldn't be scared, but you should use this whole situation as an excuse to become better at what you do and to improve at what you do and to not be hurt by it, to remove the thought of I hurt from it, because that's not going to get us forward, unfortunately. While it sucks, it's just more reason for us to pick up a pencil and really become the best at what we do, because even the machines in the factories require people to maintain them, build them, and then learn them all. So therefore, we need to do the same, but with art and AI. We need to learn how to use them, because there's always going to be someone that's needed to run these things, right? So it's just an excuse for us to get really good at what we do, so that brands, rather than reaching for AI, will think, oh, we need to do a collaboration with this man to build what we want to do. Secondly, I want to speak about the fact that notice how now everything is machine made, and anything that is machine made is pretty much normal. But then we have a high sort of look at things that are handcrafted. If you see a handcrafted leather wallet and you see a high price tag to it, you deem it as justified because it had a lot of work put into it, and it's unique because each one is different. And I believe the same thing will happen for art if this AI stuff gets completely out of hand. Because I say if, because I don't know what it's going to look like in a certain amount of time. It's just something that we don't know. It's not something I can tell you, right? My ticket. Hold on. I forgot to put my ticket up here. It's not something that we can do anything about. And it's not something that we know anything about. Because whatever happens, happens, right? So I'm not saying any of this is a justified thing that it's definitely going to happen. It may not. But I've gone slightly off track here. Speaking of the handmade stuff, I think the art will have the same sort of feel to it. I think it will allow some of us artists to put a higher price tag on what we do because it's handmade. Even though it's already handmade before, because some people kind of forget that. When they look at a painting, they think they just see a painting. They don't see the hard work that an artist put into it and the hard work that's really behind it. And maybe now, with the AI being everywhere and that becoming a norm, we'll see more emphasis on the art that we produce, and we'll see more enthusiasm towards the fact that it was handmade, and it'll be much more acceptable for people to pay a higher price for it, which I think that's a positive to look forward to. And anything of this we can switch around and make it look more positive than it is if we have the right outlook to it. So mainly, I just want to let you guys know that as artists, you should not ignore AI. You should learn the tools and use them in your own work as much as possible. I think, of course, you can choose not to use them, but at least have the knowledge of how they work. The best way we as artists can use this tool is to produce our references, because I don't personally want to use AI in any of my work, because it's like asking another artist to come in and make changes for me, and automatically I know that work's not mine. That's someone else done it. The way I want to use AI, which I will get to eventually, is if I cannot find a perfect reference for my piece, I will look at AI to alter it and to produce something that I can then use in my reference, and I can get a much better painting out of this whole thing as a process. So that's the only thing I'll be using AI art for, in my opinion. Like, that's how I feel about it. But that, I don't think there's anything wrong with you as an artist deciding that you want a little help from AI to create a different type of piece. Art is what we make it, because art is very subjective. So that all depends on you and your ethics. I didn't like the way that AI art was handled, and I can't for 100% say how I feel about it now, because I don't know whether all that stuff's been sorted out. What I kind of like about the Photoshop stuff is that it doesn't produce paintings for you. It gives you more photorealistic effects to alter your pictures that you have. So I don't know if that's better or worse, but strictly speaking, anyone that's used Photoshop before and used anything like the content aware tool to remove something from a background, we can argue that that was already AI, because it was analyzing the image and perfectly removing something that we highlighted and replacing it with the exact same background that we have. I mean, there's obviously some sort of AI involved in that. There's something going on there that's been able to create that effect. And what we're seeing now is just like a massively, massively improved version of that. So we can argue that we've been using AI for a lot longer than we think, right? So anyway, I want to leave this on a positive note, and I don't want any of you to see this all as a negative thing. I hope I've been able to say this correctly. I think AI is a good thing, because it's going to force us to work harder. And anytime we work harder is a good thing for us and for the world, because if we don't work hard and we don't produce good work, there's nothing special about what we do. But if we really put in the time and the grit, that's when special things are made. So use this whole situation as inspiration and grind harder, work harder. Absolutely do not give up on doing your artwork, because then the world will be a little less happier, there'll be a little less you in the world, and we don't want that. So I hope you enjoyed this little weird talk in the car. It's nice. It's silent here, more or less, without like bikes going by and stuff. And I can just focus on talking about what I want in here. So I don't know. I might give this a go. I'll see if this gets uploaded anyway. I'll have to watch it back and make sure that I like what I've said, and that I like everything that's in frame. But this was mainly a test. I'm glad you joined me today, and yeah, I hope you have a nice Sunday as well. It is a Sunday today. Go get some hard work done. Go work out. Go take a walk. Eat something good. Make sure your body's happy with everything going on, and then your mind will be too. So yeah, take your time, get to work, and produce some dope artwork. I'll see you in the next, or whatever it is, and yeah, I hope you have a good day.